this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you some more of our Disney trip today. These pictures we're going to do today are really special. They are in front of the castle in the evening, and so it's nice and dark, and the castle is frosted and beautiful, and I know you're going to love them, and I hope that the design comes out. It's one of my own designs, so I hope it works and turns out fantastic. We'll see how it turns out when we get to the end. Let's check out my workspace. Okay, so this is, you'll recall, the last video that we just did, and I've added just a couple things. So I just wanted to let you know that I had done that. I just took a jelly roll pen that looks like this. This is not an archival quality pen that I'm aware of, but it works great on the black, and we don't seem to have a jelly roll or this style pen in the CM line, so I just wanted to let you know this is what I use whenever I write with white on my pages. And so I just use this to make some very small circles. These are not dots, these are very tiny little circles, and I just wanted to add to kind of the bubble effect. And so I just came in here with my pen and I drew a couple of dots in there, tiny circles, again, not dots, even though I just said dots, sorry. And I just kind of let my imagination go as far as where they might be. And I just added some dots so that it had that effect of just some, kind of steam rising from the hot tub, because that's what we were all sitting in, was a hot tub. Anyway, just a fun little effect. And I'm sure other people who have more graphic arts would know other ideas for using pens to add effects. But for my minimal understanding and knowledge and talent, this is what I went with. And I think it works. Anyway, just some fun additions before we go forward. Now, to bring you up to speed, in the meantime, I've used some layouts that I had already put together. If you have been watching my channel for a while, then you would have seen these out of this world layouts that were created. I did move the mats. The mats were not originally in these places. And I eliminated at least one mat in each of these layouts. But they worked, because when we came back into the park after enjoying ourselves in the hot tub and relaxing, we had dinner at Pizza Planet, which was in yeah, I want to say Futureland. That's not what this is. Why did my mind just draw blank? Anyway, here's Space Mountain, and the Carousel of Invention is what it was called at one point in time. I can't remember what it is now. Anyway, and then this is a sculpture, a metal sculpture that's above where the people movers used to be. Do you remember the people movers? Those little tiny, they looked like the sky buckets, only they were on rails, and they would take you through this area of the park. Anyway, just fun. And then we were on the monorail coming back into the park, so that's what these pictures are from. And this is Downtown Disney. So actually, I probably should have put these on opposite sides of the page, but it is what it is. Then after we ate dinner, we went on Star Tours, which is an old favorite. It is a little bit newer because it is Star Wars, but it preceded Galaxy's Edge by a number of years, probably even a decade or more. So it was fun to go on that again. And there is one photo that is missing from this, and I need to find it. I think it's on my phone somewhere. But while we were sitting here, if you've been on this ride before, you know the very beginning of the ride, what what spurs the ride to start is the Empire discovers that someone in the group of people that are guests on the ride is actually working for the resistance, and it scans through the crowd and it chooses one of the guests, and it chose my daughter. So we were so excited. I was stunned. But Haley actually has had her picture come up, and so I think I got a picture of it, but I can't remember for sure because I had my camera or my phone in my hand, and I was taking pictures at the time. So anyway, we'll see if I can come up with that, and that will go on this page as well because that was super fun. And then this is the train, which we all were so excited to go sit down on because it was a side-facing train. And after we sat down and made ourselves comfortable, the conductors that were there came and said, "We're really sorry, but we've closed down all of the rail lines for the park for the day." So we had to leave and walk out of the park, which was not a big deal, but we were sad because we were excited. We were finally going to get to ride on a side-facing train, and we didn't get to. Anyways, funny. Okay, so our next pictures that we're going to work on in this series are for the castle, as I mentioned in my introduction. And my son is actually the one that took these gorgeous pictures of the castle, all frosted with its lights. And then these pictures we took just because we were passing through the center, and the cast members that were directing traffic, as you can see, he's got his light wand right here, kind of lighting us up. He helped us out and took our picture, and his buddy helped us out with some light so that we could actually see our faces because it was all really, really dark. Everybody was waiting. You can see here waiting. They were all waiting for the fireworks, which were going to come down. I have designed something special for this page. I hope it works out. We're going to cut some paper, and I'm just going to stick this little drawing that I made up there so I can see it. I have selected one of the laser frames that came with the Sparks of Magic collection, they're really cool and very underutilized. I haven't used them at all yet in this album. And I took this really neat picture of Walt holding Mickey's hand, and it says partners on the engraving right here in front. And I just thought it was very, very neat. And it's surrounded by a bunch of flowers in this case because it was the holidays. These were poinsettias. But I think it's just a really neat reminder of what started the whole company. It was this man and his imagination and bringing this mouse to life. So just kind of fun. And then I have some extra, it's not, okay, I need to take a breath. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm hyperventilating. So I found years ago some of this this is a kind of a matted black paper, but it has this, I think you can see it in the lights if I push it right. It has kind of shiny dots. There we go. That outline the Mickey shape. And so I cut out these different sized pieces thinking that I would use them as fireworks and embellishments on these two pages because I didn't really take a lot of, actually I beg your pardon, they weren't able to do the fireworks on this night because the wind was blowing too much. So, so there weren't any, but just to kind of give it the illusion, we're going to use those as embellishments when we get to that point. And I'm going to pick up these photos and just move them out of the way because we won't need them at first. I do have a couple of enlargements which I've been having fun playing around with in these albums I've been doing, these travel albums. My typical family activity albums do not have a lot of enlargements. I haven't really done many of those, so it's kind of fun to do that. So I have some of, this is lavender ice. This is a relatively new cardstock color. This is blue cardstock. Then I have these two papers, which are from Sparks of Magic, and so they are this kind of grid-like blue ice with the black multicolored stars on the back, and then this one that is kind of a dotted Swiss pattern with blue stripes and dots, or I'm sorry, black stripes and dots on the back. We're not going to really worry about the back so much. We're going to focus more on the front. But this is what we're going to start with. And I had to make myself some notes so that I would remember to cut these correctly. So let me go ahead and grab my trimmer, and we're going to just cut some pieces here very quickly. I'm going to move these pages out of the way. And we're going to be doing mostly straight cuts today. I am going to use a decorative blade with my trimmer for one of them, but right now we're going to just go ahead and excuse me. We're going to go ahead and just make some straight cuts and cut some pieces. So we need two pieces that are 3 inches by 11. So I'm going to cut two 3 by 12 pieces, and then we're going to shorten both of them by 1 inch. Okay, so we're going to do like so, and we're going to stack these, and then we're going to cut 1 inch off. So I just use the 1 inch measure on the right hand side of the blade to cut that 1 inch off. Set those aside. Then we're going to go to our blue cardstock. And with our blue cardstock, we're going to cut, let's see, we are going to need one piece that is 4 by 12. So we're going to go ahead and cut the 4 by 12 piece. Then we're going to cut two pieces that are 3 by 8. So again, we're going to cut them at 3 inches, 3 by 12. And then we're going to stack them and trim off 4 inches to make the 8-inch pieces. 4 by 8-inch pieces. Okay, so we're going to need that. This piece that is 4 by 12, we are actually going to now we're going to leave it at 4 by 12 for right now. We will eventually do some additional cuts on that, but for now it's just going to stay at 4 by 12. All right, the dotted Swiss piece, we are going to cut two 3-inch pieces. Then we're going to cut those down to 3 by 8. So again, we're going to stack those and cut 4 inches off. And just set those, the 3 by 4 pieces aside. We need the 3 by 8s to go up there. Then we're going to take the remainder of that sheet. We're going to cut 2 more 3-inch strips. So we're essentially taking this last piece and cutting it in half. Then we're going to stack those 2 pieces, and we're going to take 3 inches off. So we want these to be 3 by 9. Okay. All right. And now I need to change the blade in my trimmer, and I'm going to use the, let's see, I think I'm going to use the wave. You could use the scallop probably and do just fine, but I think I'm going to go for something just a little bit smaller, and we're going to use the wave blade. So just changing out these blades really quickly, popping the new one in, close and latch the housing. We're going to cut this at 3 inches. If you go back with a decorative blade, make sure you do it before you move the paper. Once you have moved the paper, you cannot go back, okay? It'll mess up your cut. So there's our first 3-inch piece. Now I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to cut another 3-inch piece. So I have a straight edge on one side and a wavy edge on the other side. And now, because I already have my wavy edge on one side, I'm going to take this one out, put my straight edge back in, and then we're going to cut this at 3 inches straight down the middle. That actually gives us 4 pieces to work with, but I only think I need 3, so this would be extra. We'll see. But we have it in our back pocket if we need it. Okay. Now, here's where it gets to be fun. Okay, so I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to cut 8 3-inch pieces. So I'm turning this horizontal, and I'm going to cut the piece with the wavy edge. We're just going to cut it into 8 3-inch pieces. So there's 4. Now we're going to do 4 more. Probably could have stacked those 2 sheets to cut down on the number of cuts I needed to make, but that's okay. And then I need 1 piece that's going to be 4 inches. Okay, so 4 inches. We're going to set that aside. And, okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these and we're going to trim them just a little bit. So I want to grab a pencil, and you need to mark the center. So put an edge of your long piece on the cutting line, This is a 3-inch piece, so I'm just going to mark where the 1.5 inch space is. Okay? I'm going to mark it at 1.5 inches. That's the center. You'll see why that's important in just a second. So I'm just putting just a very quick little dot in the center at 1.5 inches. This one I'm not going to worry about just yet. We're going to do the same thing to our 3-inch strips of blue and lavender. It's going to be harder to see on the blue, but that's okay. We will make it work, right? And since I have these stacked already, I'm just going to leave them stacked, and we'll just mark one of them. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line the edge of our paper up on this 45-degree angle mark that's on your trimmer. Okay. Then we're going to slide it down that line so that the upper edge of your paper stays on that 45-degree angle mark, and the center mark that we just put on the paper with the pencil is on your cutting line. Do you see how my mark right here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's right on where I'm going to cut. Okay, I'm going to cut down just like so. Now, I'm seeing a flaw in my design as I'm going, so I apologize if I'm sound like I'm stammering. I don't really mean to be stammering, but I'm realizing now that maybe I didn't need quite so much of that blue cut for what I wanted to use it for. So we may need to fix that. And that cut is just a little bit off. I was hoping that they would be even. Okay, that works. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut each of these 3-inch pieces just like this. So I'm going to leave mine stacked just so that I can make less cuts. And get more done. Less is more. You flip it over, put the upper edge on that 45-degree angle mark again. Check your angles to make sure these two sides are level, or as level as possible. The first time that I did it, it did not quite work the way I had hoped. So okay. This one I have stacked 4 high. Let's see if we can do it 4 high. Let's see, it should come out fine. If you go slow. Ta-da. Okay, then we'll flip it over. Make sure to keep that end nice and tight. Pretty even. I'm happy with that. All right, this last piece right here, we are going to cut at an angle from the center. And this piece is 4 inches, so we need to mark it at 2 inches. And 2 inches. I'm going to just drop this down and use the lower shoulder. There's my cutting line. Okay, so there's my 4-inch mark. So 3.5, 3, 2.5, 2 inches is right there. And then we're going to line it up again at the 4-inch mark. Let's see if we get an angle that is pleasing by doing it this way with the center one. Not sure, but you have to start somewhere, right? Okay, so we're going to again flip it over, bring our point to the cutting line or just beyond up here, this edge on the 45 degrees. There we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is line this left side up at the 2-inch mark. Your point should be on your cutting line up there, and we're going to cut this in half. And I probably did that prematurely because we need to add our frosting. And I did not do that yet. So I am sorry, guys, but grab your repositionable adhesive and the 4-inch wide piece, flip it over. All right, we're going to add our adhesive to the point, from the point to the corner, and a little bit down in the center. Then we're going to place the tip on the flat edge and the edge closest to you on the flat edge. Oops. So the tip up here on the flat edge and this edge down here also on the flat edge, so that your wavy edge is towards the bottom. Then we're going to do the same thing with this one, only the other direction. Make your points meet. Be careful to make sure that the edges in the middle meet. Then we're going to come over here and cut this again. Now, we're going to line this up so that, again, the far left side is at the 2 mark, and your cutting line is right in the middle. And we're only going to come down just enough that we can separate those 2 pieces by cutting the blue. Then we're going to trim, and you can use your scissors or you can use your trimmer for this, but we're going to trim off the overhang, okay? Like so. Now, it's true that snow is generally more irregular than this, but this is as close as I can get, and we're going to cover up the majority of this with photos anyway, so I'm not too terribly worried. I'm hoping that this is going to give enough definition that we won't have to be too concerned. Okay, so for the rest of these, let's go ahead and adhere our snow to the top of each of these turrets. Okay, so we're going to just add our repositional on the front of our dots. Then we're going to flip it over, keep the wavy edge to the right, and put your point at the top. So the point is right here. I know that's hard to see because black on black. Sorry about that. We're not going to be cutting these. We're just going to be trimming off the triangles at the top. And we probably could have put put these on and then cut our paper, and cut the angles on the paper, and then we would have only had to cut them once. But I didn't think about that. So I'll try to maybe make a note in the description on the video so that other people don't have to suffer. Or cut it twice. I know this is a lot of blue, but bear with me. I'm hoping this is going to depict the colors that I saw in the photograph that we took. Now, what we're going to do is the same thing that we did for these two pieces. We're going to go back and we're going to trim all of these with the trimmer. And I'll speed that video up so that you don't have to watch at regular speed. Okay, so we have all of these triangles with the multicolored stars on the black background. I would save those if I were you. You never know. You might be able to use those. We might be able to create something fun in a geometric pattern for a later layout. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going to put my trimmer away for a minute. I think we're done, but you know, who knows? But I think we're done. And I'm going to just lay this out for you the way I had envisioned, and we're going to play with it for a minute because honestly I've never made this layout before. This is just something I sort of drew up and thought it would be really fun if I could make this work. So we're going to see if I can make it work. Okay, so I have a blue, okay. I'm just refreshing my memory as to which ones go where. Okay, so these, the shorter blue dots go on the outside, and then the short blue ones go next to them, or next to that one. Then we're going to use the taller blue dots. Then we're going to use now this is where it gets a little bit dicey, okay, because the lavender ones are going to be kind of tucked in between. So we're going to scoot this over almost halfway, and then the right half of the blue is going to go in the center, like so. This is almost looking a little bit more like It's a Small World at this point, but you know what, that's okay. And it looks like I may need to go ahead and tuck my dots on the end behind the blue one. I don't want to tuck the blue one because I actually want a little bit more of the dark blue to show. So I think what I might do here is tuck both of these dots slightly behind the blue one, just about 1/4 of an inch. That will give a little bit more definition also in our line of in our roof line for the castle. Okay. When I'm done adjusting all of these, I will give you some quick measurements to give you an idea of where they fall. Let me just make sure that this is how I want it first. Yeah, I think I like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and adhere. Oh, let me give you measurements after I've put it down so that I can have it a little more firm, okay? So let's go ahead and adhere our castle pieces, the turrets, down. I'm going to use repositionable adhesive just so that if I change my mind, I can have a little more flexibility in moving some things around. So this is going to go flush with the bottom of my page and flush with my jeeping on the side. You'll notice a little tiny bit of overhang there, but I'm not going to be too worried about that just at this moment in time. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on this one and put adhesive on the next one. And we're going to put these down at the same time. Okay. So this one's going to go about 2/3. Well, I'll measure that. Sorry. I don't want to give you the measurements too soon or you will not be happy with me. So there is some tucking involved for me, but I'll do all of the adjusting and then I will give you the measurements of where to place these. Okay. Need adhesive on the back of this one. Okay, now let me see if I can duplicate that on this side. All right, let's see. Make sure you're getting the point down here when you put your adhesive on, because you don't want your points of your castle turrets to be flapping around. All right, almost there, and I can give you some measurements to help you out. Okay, so let me take a look here and make sure I'm happy with that. I bent my piece up a little bit over here, so I'm going to add a little adhesive there. Hold that down. Okay, so basically what I did was this end piece right here is in line with the jeeping on the outside. We already knew that. This next piece, the blue solid cardstock, is, I'm going to measure it so you know exactly. It's just a hair over 3/8 of an inch overlapping on top of the dotted Swiss light blue. Then that same amount, this dotted one is tucked underneath the blue about 3/8 of an inch, or maybe slightly more than 3/8 of an inch. Definitely not a full 1/2 of an inch, but slightly over 3/8 of an inch. This is what happens when I don't measure. I'm sorry, guys. And then the purple is tucked underneath the dotted Swiss here at 5/8 of an inch. I was actually pretty close on that one. So 5/8 of an inch tucked underneath the light blue. And then this piece here goes flush with the jeeping on the inside. Those measurements are consistent with this side of the layout as well, so that we get the symmetry. All right, now let's grab my pictures again and see about where we can lay these out that will make some sense. Again, I love this picture of Mickey. It may not go on this page though, because I don't know how this will work exactly, but I do want this to go on here, and so I may need to frame it just a little bit in order to make it stand out a little bit more. We may need another blue, more of this ice blue, or I want a darker blue. Maybe we'll do that in navy. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll frame all of these. We'll mat them all in navy. And I don't know if we need all of them. We might not need that one. We may just do kind of like so. Or maybe we'll reverse this. Put these over here and do this like so. So that I can bring that down and make it less of a focus. Because I would really like this to be more of the focus. So maybe, I'm sorry, I keep switching it all around, I'm so sorry. Maybe what we need to do is do like this to make this more of the focus, because I want it more in the center of my layout. All right, I'm going to grab some navy cardstock and we're going to get these framed up just a little bit, just to add some emphasis. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and use this navy blue, I think, to just separate this photo a little bit from the backdrop. grab my permanent adhesive and go ahead and adhere this on. I'm not going to make the mats really large. They're only going to be about 1/8 of an inch. I don't want them to distract from the rest of the layout. I just want enough that I can see the photo a little bit more readily. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and trim these up real quick. Okay, I need to adjust those pictures just a little, because I did not do that. I didn't adhere them evenly for some reason. So we'll get it. We'll get it. I'm not worried. There's that one. Let me go ahead and adjust these just a little bit. Sometimes it is easier to just cut your mat and then put your picture on. But it's okay. All right. So now we've got this one. We've got this one. It's going to go right like that, approximately. Maybe down just a little further would be okay. So you don't see as much of that blue. I know at first it was kind of like there's a lot of light blue involved in that, and I contemplated adding something behind these stars too, which would be really, I think, a cool thing. But I don't know if I'm up to the task of tediously cutting out all those little notches on the outside, and that's what I would want to do. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this. And live with it for a little bit, and if it bothers me, then I may come back and add a different background. But for now, we're going to leave it like that. So this one's going to go down with permanent adhesive. This one's going to go down with repositionable in the corners. And I'm going to raise that up just a tad so it's on the same level as this one, even though it's a little bit higher. This one's going to go 1/4 of an inch from the top or from the bottom and the left. My sweetheart and I. And then this one is going to go 1/4 of an inch from the middle and overlapping the other one, because it's a 5x7, so it's going to take up a little more space, just like this one is over here. So, and essentially this is a 5x7 as well with this mat on here. Okay, now from there we get to embellish, and the embellishments on this page are going to be fairly simple. I have these cute little cutouts of the Mickey shape, which are going to resemble, to me they resemble fireworks. So I'm going to go ahead and put them up here in the sky, like so. And we're going to put those on with some foam squares, which it looks like actually I need some more. So I'll have to grab some more out of my stash. This is just designer paper weight, so it's not super stiff like a lot of our embellishments are a little bit heavier weight paper. So I'm adding just a couple of additional foam squares, one on each ear and one on the head, and then that way they are a little bit more supported. This one is small. I don't know if I need the additional ones, but we'll go ahead and do it. It'll be all right. Then we have a little bit of pen work we're going to do. So this page is not done yet. Don't get too excited and assume that you are done. Okay. Need some more peekaboo. I mean, not peekaboos. Foam squares. Okay. There are some advisors that use foam squares on everything, and I think I do use them on every page, but or almost every page. But I'm not quite as, like, I'm a fan, no doubt. I don't know. It's not my catchphrase, I guess I should say. But they are really cool, and they do add dimension to your page, and I do use them a lot. But if you don't have them, then don't use them. Just adhere your embellishments where they go. This is kind of a next level type of thing. All right. So there are my fireworks, which is kind of fun. And now, do you remember that white pen that I was talking about at the beginning? This white pen right here. We're going to use this. You could use the CM chalking pen if you wanted to, but it just, I'm not sure it's going to give the effect that I'm hoping for. Do you see in the photo down here how the spires at the very, very top have an elongated piece with kind of a star on the top? Well, what I thought we would do is get some embellishments. And I don't know about you, but I have a ton of embellishments. I have these that came from, I don't know, a card kit somewhere along the line. I've got all kinds of different colors from different things. This one is full of kind of holiday colored ones. So, and this one is like packed full, so full it's bulging. And, you know I'm not the only one that has a bunch of these kinds of things readily available. I think we're going to use these. These remind me a little bit of like a water droplet, but I think they will give off the right bling effect here. And all I'm going to do is just draw a line straight up, as straight as I can manage, from that pointed spot on each of the turrets. And I'm going to make them all the same if I can. Of course, this one right here is going to be really close to the top, so we may have to make it a little shorter. But I'm going to make them all 1 inch long. And it's just going to be a 1 inch white line. And I probably should have put it on before I put my embellishments, but that's okay. It'll be all right. If you use your centering ruler, it's got a cool grid pattern on it that will allow you to keep your lines relatively straight. And you can measure. Which is a bonus, kind of. You can also see right where your angles of your turrets are positioned just a little bit maybe off. But that's okay. No worries. All right, so I'm going to just continue this on this page. This lavender one appears to be off because it's underneath the center, so you can't really see where it would normally be. And honestly, I wish I could tell you who makes the paper that I used for the Mickey fireworks, but I purchased it so long ago that I doubt that you could even find it. I just had it in my stash. So it is just really old paper. And I would hope that you might be able to find something similar, or maybe just use a sticker that is firework related that you could stick up there. Okay, so there are my turrets at the top. They're a little bit wider down here at the bottom. If you really wanted to, you could come in here with your pen and kind of just add a little bit to your design. Just widen it just a little bit. Doesn't have to be much at the very bottom. Adding a couple of extra lines. When Noreen Smith talks about mixed media, this is about as mixed media as I get. Adding just some extra ink dots or lines is about as much as I am into. But but sometimes it is called for, and it does make a cute addition. And kind of complete the thought, you know? If I had an archival quality pen that was white, I would use it. Maybe even our silver, the CM silver pen would work nicely for this. And that would definitely be archival quality, so it would probably be a little bit better. Although so far, where I have used this pen in my albums, I have not been disappointed with it fading or doing anything bad. So there we have our spires. Now we're just going to add just a tiny little bit of bling, and then these pages will be done. If you want to journal on here, you could journal right here on the blue of the turret. You could journal down here across this little bit. You could add a little strip of maybe the same paper that we used up here down here to journal. Okay, I need 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 8. And I think I want just the medium size one is the one that I want. These already have adhesive on the back, so once you put them down, they should stay. Any of the CM gems already have adhesive, which is definitely a plus, because trying to put this on without the adhesive would be kind of crazy and would probably drive me a little nuts. I am going to put one at the top, at the very tippy top of the spire. Whoa, hello, I keep knocking this one off. At the very top of the spire on my lavender columns, right at the edge of the paper. Hopefully the page protector won't be too bothered by that. And same thing over here. And if you wanted to, you could even come in and add some little lines to indicate shining from these. I'll show you in just a second here what I mean. Almost like when you draw a sun, how you make the sun's rays come out. Alright, so there's that. Then we can come in here with our white again and just add little bits of bling. which just kind of finishes it off. There we go. Okay, after I finished this video, I was looking at it and realized that I forgot a key thing that will help this look more like a castle, and that is the door right here that goes to the little bridge that rides over into the center, this part right here. And so I just grabbed a little piece of tan cardstock, and I'm going to just very quickly design a piece that can go in there and be that door. Okay, so right now I'm just going to make this, I'm not sure the measurements exactly, so I'm going to start with a piece that's 4.5 by 3, and let's go 3 3/4. So 4.5 by 3 3/4. Then I'm going to grab my probably the smallest oval. Yeah, the smallest oval from the custom cutting system, and going to just curve the top edge of this. So I'm just going to try to keep this as straight as possible. Line up the edges. And this is going to hit exactly the edge. And then I'm going to just take my red blade on this smallest oval, and I'm just going to do just the top edge of that piece. Okay, so again, I started with a 4 and, what did I start with? I started with a 4.5 by 3 3/4 piece of paper. Used the small oval with the red blade. Then I'm going to take my trimmer and cut this in half. This piece was 3 3/4 when we started. The halfway mark of 3 3/4 is going to be 1 7/8, almost 2 inches, but 1/8 of an inch shy. So we're going to cut that in half, and that's going to be our drawbridge entrance. And we're just going to sneak this right underneath. If you have some paper that is a wood grain, that would be perfect for this. Okay, and then we're just going to lift this up carefully and sneak this underneath. Line it up right with your center, and you'll be able to see just a little bit of your blue along the edge here. We put this on with repositionable adhesive, so this should pop off pretty easy. And I put my adhesive on the wrong side. Oh, ladies. Well, I'll take a picture of it and you'll be able to see that this piece goes underneath here like this. I'll cut another one. All right. Thanks so much for your patience. This is a design that is evolving, obviously. But I do hope that you'll be able to redo this or repeat this and create it in your albums. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think I might need a little bit of bling at the top of here, but it's hard to do that when the page divides it. So I'm not sure. I may just leave that alone and we'll call it good. Yeah, an homage to Cinderella's castle. I'm happy. I hope that you've enjoyed spending this time with me, and I hope this has helped inspire you to create some cool layouts for your Disney albums, or something where you might need a castle today. Thanks so much, and until next time, I hope that you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.